So recently ARK dropped a giant major update, and it was a surprising one to see on a Sunday. We getting a bit worried we weren't going to see anything until maybe even Australia, but then again we are getting a Love Ascended event this week. Well, I'm sure you know the patch notes by now. There's a lot of them and we're not going to go through every single one individually, but in particular the patch notes that aren't in this post. Weirdly, there's like several new updates that really should need to be talked about, and it's a wonder why Wildcard didn't offer these in the same post. But don't worry kids, Raasclark's got you, and follow me as I go through each and every one. So kind of using these patch notes as a segue into these new reveals. Well, firstly, it's a joyous moment almost 2 months later to hear the Lost Queen boss fight is finally fixed. Thank God for that. And we of course found out just recently how well it went. The big one of course is that 1 hour timer when you actually started a boss fight, and that 1 hour ran out despite whichever part of that boss fight you was in. Once that 1 hour had expired, then you could say goodbye to your boss run. But that's no longer the case. No more. No. There are brand new timers whenever you enter those new sections. You get a brand new boss timer for the Lost King and a brand new boss timer for the Lost Queen. Though it can be a bit unforgiving if you definitely mess up once or twice, and I guess it's meant to be tense, right? There's just enough time there to definitely finish the boss, and just, yeah, don't mess about if you plan to do it now. There are still 1 or 2 issues. One definitely I think needs to be resolved is the hitboxes, the hit markers with the orbs that are being pulled into the Lost Queen when she's recharging. It's a bit hit and miss, excuse the pun, on whether you do hit one or not. But apart from that, maybe okay, the dodging as well. It's a 10 out of 10 boss fight now. I'm really enjoying doing it, and word of warning, just make sure you got yourself well and truly prepared if you're attempting alpha, and look out for that one hit kill shot. If you'd seen our most recent video, you'd know. And well, literally just after recording this and going to stream another Alpha Lost Queen fight, turns out there is still a big bug going on that a few of you have discussed over the last month or so. I kind of thought it might have been fixed by now, but no, it's still there. The Lost Queen in an infinite shield, so that 10 out of 10 score sadly then gets diminished to a 5 out of 10 until this gets resolved. Come on Wildcard, hopefully you get this one fixed soon. And noting there's additional locations for resource caches spawning, of which we went and found exactly how many new locations are there, and there'll be a little picture popping up right now showing you these new spots. Maybe we'll even combine it with the old spots that we got as well. There seems to be only a handful more, and it does seem like the original loot caches are prioritized first, but if they can't spawn, then those spawn locations will render in next. But something Wildcard didn't mention, which I think is a real big thing to celebrate, is the glowing of them. Flipping heck, up until now you might have known trying to find a loot cache can be an absolute nightmare unless you've got the coords of them, because they're just a nightmare to see. It's a very black and white map, and loot caches can be very, very silhouetted at times and just indistinguishable compared to all the other black looking coloured stuff around on the map as well. And while Wildcard listened to the feedback, I particularly definitely ranted about this myself. There needed to be some form of glow surrounding these, some way of you knowing where they are, especially at night, and they did that. They've offered now a brand new glowish hue to each and every loot cache. So obviously green for gamma, blue for beta, and red for alpha, even though it's yellow. Weird one, don't get it. But hey, great to see. I'm glad they made these changes, and just to wonder, are they going to improve the loot, especially on those alpha loot cache boxes? It's really not worth it at the moment. Okay, the XP is definitely worth it at the moment for those Drakeling chests, but yeah, man, the loot sources are still a bit pants. Alpha just ain't worth running for right now. I heard a lot of you complaining about this one, about trees growing back near structures in some areas. Me personally, I never had that issue, but definitely resounding welcome to a lot of you out there. But speaking of trees, you might not notice there are brand new trees on Lost Colony offering a brand new resource, which is a weird new addition so late into Lost Colony. These trees here, if you go to the dark forest sections across the map, and there's quite a few places, especially around the radiation zone entrance, but pretty much anywhere if you see red, there may definitely be one of these blood sap trees knocking about, and if you harvest them, you'll find yourself a brand new resource called blood sap. And you might be wondering what this new resource actually does. Well, it seems if you consume it, it works exactly like something else that's also got the word sap in too. And if you go to a mortar and pestle, you'll find out it's exactly the same as cactus sap. I guess being offered as a substitute to that resource because, you know, this isn't really a hot place at all and therefore no cacti and no cactus sap from those. So instead, here's some blood sap in your life if you want to make plenty of propellant. Here's a few coords of some of the locations we found. Moving on to a fix for trophies not dropping for Dreadmare Taming. Well, it turns out that particular line there is way more expansive than it seems. I thought maybe there's an issue with the altar itself, but no, it's the trophies that it asks for, of course, through its taming process. And amongst there's certain ones that may have you going, oh my god, how on earth am I ever going to tame myself one too? Because it asks for, yes, alpha raptor claws, alpha rex teeth, alpha carno arms, and yes, alpha ocelodon skulls too. But it turns out they have improved the spawning of all of these alpha creatures tenfold. You will find plenty of alpha raptors now across the map, of course, sharing spawns with other raptors. The same applies to Carnos too. Rexes, of course, are still a bit rare. Alpha Rexes have always been a bit rare, but you will definitely find these on the map now. And alpha ocelodons, guess what? They are now spawning in different locations across the map. Here's one we found up in the north, with seemingly more chances of finding all of these out there in the wild. Single player, you may want to do a wild wipe, but also worth noting there, single player spawns are single player spawns. They're never any good in comparison to servers. Sorry, that's just a fact. Moving swiftly through these patch notes, I saw a few questions surrounding the red element nodes that these have been apparently fixed with their explosions VFX appearing again when coming into render range. No stress about that. It's those red diamond looking things that you see exploding during the boss fight. That's what a red element node is. I just thought I'd clear that one up for you. Praise be, I can finally pick up my Lost Queen flags if I want to and not worry about them turning into Lost King flags. That's good to see. And skipping through a bunch of fixes to thralls, skills and gloons. And for some reason companion beds now work correctly on an Oasis Saw. Why is that a thing? But hey, I'm not going to argue it. Good to hear I can heal my Oasis Saw without needing to keep my Oasis Saw healed. Wild carnivores finally regain health from harvesting corpses. My word, that was perhaps one of the biggest issues with taming ocelodons. If you saw one on the verge of death, you were absolutely screwed out of attempting to tame that because something else would likely kill it. No longer is the case anymore. If you're attempting to tame one of them or knock any wild carnivore out, you can now feed them corpses like you used to. That's back in ARK. Jeez, it's been a hot minute since that's been a thing. With a few fixes to the Solwyn and Malwyn, including those T-posing Uraliax issues, outposts are apparently unable to be done with thralls as wildcard intended, but I don't know what they did because they still definitely are activated with thralls. And I thought, well, with this patch, have they secretly changed the skin rewards? Because we know there's 3 missing rewards at the moment, that cool looking glider skin and 2 particular saddles. But I did a bunch of these, especially doing the Forge Master missions in particular, because those were the less rewards you got from any of those different types of missions, and I didn't get anything new, so I don't think those skins are still unlockable just yet. I wonder if we'll find them in another upcoming patch. But gotta say, I did do some runs of attack outposts, especially on bridges, and can report they definitely do now teleport back up to the mission area. Thank God for that. That was needed some time ago, and it's great to see that now implemented. You can actually go and do all of those outpost missions without worrying about those particular bugs. And I need to highlight this one in particular because I have ranted about this one so much for so long. Dinos wondering when you whistle stop. Why has that ever been a thing? And it's been in ARK for a long time now, months and months and months of trying to get a photo of a creature, putting it in place, whistling stop and seeing that thing move from one end to the other. So frustrating. I can't tell you how rageful I've been sometimes when that's happened. So thank God that one has now been resolved. I am so happy about that one in particular, and I'm sure many of you out there are too. With a few more FPS and visual fixes thrown in, the patch we was obviously expecting was the Cryo Hospital, and you know, that little bug of it being able to instantly heal dinos. That was going to be an expected patch. But the one big thing which we spoke about like 2 weeks ago has finally now been introduced. That 3x breeding timer improvement. If you throw anything, any cryopod into a cryo hospital now, you will find that breeding timer speed down by 3 times the speed, which makes it a joyous welcomed addition to ARK. Without a doubt, 1x officials will be happy to see this one, especially. I am very sure, and I'm right there with you. But as said, this was really something that would have been way more welcomed and way more beneficial when Lost Colony actually launched, because by now most people have got mass breeders out there now breeding with everything and anything, that they don't really need it as much as they used to. But even so, if you're starting out, especially, this is a big one. Cryo hospitals, get them now. They're definitely worth using. And that's, as far as I know, the secret new patch notes that were never in the patch notes that they've included. But if you know any more, do comment below, let me know. I hope I haven't missed any. I have been asking around to make sure I'll give you the full info, the full lowdown on what's more with this. And I'll leave you with this one as a bit of an impromptu midweek news video. Turns out we're going to be finding at least 10 small building caves on the brand new update to Aberration, as well as 5 new artifact caves. That's right. And well, if that's 5 artifact caves, do you need 5 artifacts for this brand new boss that's coming with this expansion? If it's comparable to the dragon, that was 4, right? So what's going on here? Could there be perhaps a special other boss that's going to require one particular artifact, or is it going to be needed for something more, something bigger? Nakatas has hinted that this isn't possibly the last boss for Australia. So I am interested to see how much more is coming with this map. And PvPers, good news for you. Nakatas has said that he's made the entrances to these building caves as small as Wildcard will allow him. Take of that what you will. So if you start complaining, you know who to direct it to now. Turning out to include underwater caves too. Oh, and one more note. It turns out that ARK Ascended has unfortunately been delayed by 1 extra day, as posted by Dolly in their status updates in the ARK official Discord. With some loving needing just a little more patience, the event is now beginning on Feb the 12th. That's obviously tomorrow until Feb the 19th, but Elite rates will still be kicking off later on today. But that's your lot. Hopefully this has helped somebody out there. I do wonder if Blood Sap is going to offer some additional qualities to what it already does, just be completely just a substitute to the other sap, cactus sap. I don't know, but I'm interested what you know. Perhaps you've got an idea of what you think blood sap might be useful for in the future. If you've got an idea, comment below. Maybe Wildcard will see it, or maybe they won't. I don't know. Until the next one, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, peace out.